It's unlikely. It's a non-zero risk, though. I don't think it's in anyone's interest to go back to that. I think all of the members of OPEC plus understand that. The UAE certainly doesn't really want to go there. We've seen the fact that we've seen kind of agreement between the Saudis and Russia coming to the table to really try and broach this stalemate and get discussions going between the Saudis and UAE. Point to the fact it's really not likely. I think we are far more likely to come to an agreement at some point. When that will be, couldn't say. But I do think it's a non-zero risk. So I think falling back on the no deal equals no more additional crude is also a slightly kind of dangerous one. It's inevitable, I feel, that given where prices are now, there will be creep in production, there will be creep in supply. It's so hard to resist that temptation of such high prices, despite that willingness to kind of maintain discipline. I think OPEC Plus has done incredibly well. The group has done incredibly well through the course of the last year to really have this measured response to the demand situation. But I think they're tightening the taps up a bit too much at the moment, and that's we can see that, as you mentioned, in flat price now.
Yeah, Alex, you and I have seen so many of these cycles over the years, and we also know that if you push the consumer too far, you don't find that right equilibrium that the likes of Mr. Khalil or El Badri have talked to me about over the decades as well, then you risk tipping the demand side of the equation down aggressively and doing what oil has done a few times in the last 40, 50 years, which is creating economic contraction as well. I think that tipping point is lower than it used to be, given what the Indian demand picture is like, given what the US consumer is responding to at the moment. I was just doing a story this week about Bay Area prices up over $4 a gallon of gasoline as well. So you've got some high price problems for the consumers. Are we close to a point where they just can't push it much further?
It's very interesting. You're certainly right to highlight how this is a factor in multiple sectors of the global economy. It's not just an emerging market issue. It's also a developed world issue. So with the US, there will come a point later on in the year with rising gasoline prices where people do dial back their activity. Are we there quite yet? I don't think so. Does China or India kind of want to see prices higher than they are now? Definitely not. We've already seen India pushing back. We've already seen India kind of diversifying supplies away from the Middle East as well, taking a lot more crude from the US, for example, than it ever did previously. So, yeah, I think we can move through the summer with prices where they are. But if we start to see a kind of a significant strengthening from here, that's going to be a problem, especially when we're effectively looking at a kind of a 2-speed, if not 3-speed recovery in demand globally, where you have the US, as everyone can see in the data, is just absolutely roaring. Europe, and certainly in the UK, it's getting back there, but there are real concerns. But then if you look at a lot of countries in Asia, the IEA highlights this in their latest report. There's kind of these concerns around countries in Asia with low vaccination rates that did quite well last year are really struggling. You only have to kind of talk to people over in Australia, over in Sydney. It's like we're having the same conversation that we had in Europe and the US 14 months ago, where they're talking about lockdowns being extended. They're worried about the economy. They're worried about money coming into the economy with businesses closing. That's not a great conversation to be having if we're also talking about a surging crude demand through the rest of the year.